Welcome to the Ant-Man channel. This is a Tuesday, 5th February 2013. I have to tell you that I am absolutely 100% sick to my stomach about what I just saw. I wasn't even going to watch it. And, I mean, I didn't even think it was going to faze me. Yesterday I had seen a Taliban force get gunned down and missiled down by two Apache helicopters. And that, for me, was still kind of hard to watch. But at the same time, it's like they're Taliban, though. I don't really want to feel bad for people who are considered terrorists and don't like people like me, but I have to like really let you know, like, I felt this inner darkness take a hold of me from watching this, man. Like, it even consumed me. Like, I got so upset right now when I saw this. I didn't even expect myself to react in the way that I did right now, but I have to say that this is one of the most disgusting examples of violence in the streets of New York that I have ever seen. And in Chicago, I just read and saw a report about how if you call 911 in Chicago now, they can just hang up the phone on you if they don't think that you have a real emergency. And what they don't consider a real emergency is if you call the police saying that there is a mugger in your house, that's not even good enough to get them to get up off their butt and say, well, then does that mean that they're arrestable? Well, like, how do you or detainable? Like, how are you gonna know whether someone's detainable before you're at the scene of the crime in the first place? I mean, the common sense has gone out the window these days. I am giving up on trying to tell people what's going on, but I'm just gonna give you the news because this is like upsetting. And if you want to see this for yourself, you could go to Wnddotcom. Black mob beats man until skull broke. Black mob beats man until skull breaks. 4 convicted in New York trial by Colin Flaherty. Colin Flaherty is an award-winning reporter and author of White Girl Bleed a Lot, The Return of Racial Violence to America, and How the Media Ignore It. Follow him on Twitter, it says. He always writes this editor's note before he gets into his article, and I'm going to read it for the first time because I never read it before because I don't really, you know, like, I see eye to eye with this guy, and I'll just read it anyway. Editor's note from Colin Flaherty. He has done more reporting than any other journalist on what appears to be a nationwide trend of skyrocketing black-on-white crime, and this is not considered a hate crime these days. You can be a black guy and beat up a white guy and have 800 guys behind you doing the same thing, and that's not considered a hate crime at all. Violence and abuse. WND features these reports to counterbalance with virtual blackout by the rest of the media due to their concerns that reporting such incidents would be inflammatory or even racist. Because it's going on so much that if you reported this on the news, you would be considered racist. Nobody knows. If you're not living in Chicago, New York, then you don't know about this. WND considers it racist not to report racial abuse solely because of the skin color of the perpetrator or victims. Let's see. Editor's note, the links in the following report may contain offensive language. I almost regret watching that video. I mean, I don't even need to see stuff like that. In my gut, if I saw something like that in real life, I would help him. I don't care. You know, I would. It's almost inhuman to not care about somebody. It is inhuman. It's inhuman not to care about a human being enough, your fellow human being enough to just watch him get beat in the middle of the street until he is absolutely dead. It's just like, what is going on these days? Kiem Washington must have done something. He raped somebody, stole something, hit someone, or was just a bad guy with bad intentions who deserved a fractured skull, I guess. That is what the lawyer in the newspaper said. The rape thing turned out not to be true, whatever. But that is why a mob of black people in Manhattan beat him with fists, kicks, a traffic cone. I saw a knee and a wooden board until they fractured his skull. And why they were in the middle of doing the same to a good Samaritan before the police arrived. All on the video where at least 10 black people assaulted Washington, accompanied by the laughter, cheers, clapping, and encouragement of nearby crowd. Yeah, I heard other fellow African Americans, you know, clowning the people getting beat to death, encouraging the people to beat them to death, clapping, mocking them, mocking everybody else that's watching, saying, "Oh, you're not gonna help, huh?" You see, this is what I see from the African American a lot, and I'm not trying to be racist, but it's the truth. It's like this outspoken, indirect insult. Like you think you're allowed to say anything you want, and that like you're not gonna upset anyone, and they don't have the right to defend themselves. Like this is the place we live in these days, where people can absolutely beat you in the middle of the street, and then the news isn't gonna report it. By the way, this is racist to report black people jumping anybody is just racist. You know, black people can never be responsible for their actions. A woman in a dress is seen taking off her high-heeled shoes to take a part in the beating. Others yell, "We are from Yonkers," and N-word, and provide blow-by-blow commentary on the assault. That's good footage there. Hit him 2 more times. That's crazy. The assault took place in 2010, but the case did not come to trial until last month when police released the video. Assistant District Attorney Lucy Catolo told the jury, I need to warn you that the video you're going to see in this case contains graphic, disturbing footage of possibly the most prolonged and brutal assault that you have ever or will ever see, reported by the New York Daily News at the January trial. 4 were convicted of assault, others remain at large, unknown. One of the attorneys claimed the entire thing was a miscarriage of justice. It's unfair for a bunch of kids that may have gone a little bit too far, he says, to be facing unbelievable amounts of jail time for assaulting a guy who was a bad guy and was in the streets with bad intentions, said attorney Norman Williams in the Daily News. I mean, were you there, Norman Williams? I mean, this guy sounds like an absolute jellyfish, man. Others at local news sites say a similar incident involving white people did not receive nearly the attention that episode of mob violence involved Arab people beating a white person in Greenwich Village. The Yonkers beatdown crew is set for sentencing this month. Meanwhile, the CBS affiliate is claiming that flash mob violence in New York has reached epidemic levels. Store owners are reporting more than 50 recent attacks where surveillance videos show the perpetrators as black, but which the station reports as teenagers. So they changed the word black to teenagers. I see. You know, they do this a lot. Alex Jones is absolutely 100% correct when he says that when you start to pay attention to these guys, you start to see their traits and how they work and how they manipulate things. Some stores have been hit multiple times, as many as 7. Others have to close in the afternoon because the police will not respond to the violence and lawlessness. I mean, several people have been hospitalized, one with a broken arm, another with a cut to the head after one of the looters threw a bottle at him. Black mob violence in New York and elsewhere, more than 400 episodes at more than 85 cities around the country, is documented in the book White Girl Bleed a Lot, The Return of Racial Violence and How the Media Ignore It. New York media may ignore the race of the miscreants, but commentators do not, clearly identifying the race of the mob and wondering why the newspaper and television reports so consistently ignore it. They always say teens, said one poster to the CBS News site. The truth is nothing but blacks. Check the photos. The first thing you have to do is quit calling them teens. Groups of teens, teen mobs, mobs of kids, or whatever other wimpy, politically correct name the media can come up with to avoid calling them blacks or African Americans, said another. But the problem is there are still too many wimpy, politically correct in the justice system who don't want to target blacks out of the fear of being called a racist. So the blacks or African Americans will continue to loot and pillage businesses all across the country while the lib media ignores the problem. And I really don't recommend you guys see these videos. I am usually a very calm and collected and very composed person, but when I saw this, I wanted to punch something really hard, man. I mean, I was going into territorial mode. I was going into warrior mode. I was going into I gotta, do something mode. But I mean, of course, you guys always know that these problems are bigger than us, man. We gotta just learn how to rest and do things the right way. Try to do it through the judiciary system. Judiciary. You guys know I have problems with that word, but all right, you gotta do things the right way. You can't do things the way that these mobs of kids are doing it these days. One commentator suggested that race has nothing to do with it, while another, Mary Stokes, said white people have their criminal problems too. My skin is the same color as the fertile earth. A better thing to have than skin the color of bloody spit with a good for absolutely nothing albinoid. Now tell me how the hell are there sick, any whites on welfare, in prisons and jails, homeless on the streets begging for money and food, rummaging through garbage for food, shooting up their spawn in classrooms, in movie theaters. Why are white males the only males in America that go into places of worship and kill people with guns and bombs? Why are the whites the only group in North America that created a promotional group for those who want to commit child molestation, aka NAMBLA? All in a country that was tailor-made for whites' maximal development and success at the expense of others, and with 200 year head start over blacks and Native Americans. When you have some real answers for why whites are like that, then you can pretend to teach me about blacks or anyone else, you stupid pale freak of nature. Haha. Absolutely. You can go, I don't know, man, I really don't recommend you guys go look at this article. I mean, I just read it to you, but you can go look at it for yourself. Don't look at the video, because if you do your homework every day and you're empowered and you know what's up, then you're not going to like what you see. You're going to get very angry, and it's very hard to swallow. I mean, even if you're not the type that gets automatically angry at something, you will get very disturbed by it in a very bad way. I mean, it's not good for you. I mean, all I can tell you is this. I saw about 8 to 10 black guys beating the living crap out of somebody like you would never believe in your life. And it was ruthless and brutal, and it was very strange that there was a crowd of people also around them that were rooting for them. It was weird. Like, does everyone think like reality's a video game nowadays? Like you could just go around like Grand Theft Auto and just murder people on the streets? Well, the cops aren't going to do much about it if you're living in New York or Chicago these days, and the mainstream media is not going to report it. So I'm kind of glad I live in Southern California, where I'm in a nice desert valley, where I'm like kind of in my own little groove. There's like people around here are quiet most of the time, and they like to mind their own business. And there isn't big businesses around, but I noticed they started building a lot of shopping complexes when the economy is going down. I mean, these shopping complexes are going to end up turning into gangster hotels. I mean, when everything's going under. I mean, but the bigger city you live in, the bigger trouble you're going to be in when this starts to develop more and more. And yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. Don't be afraid to say, you know, what is going on, because, I mean, ultimately you are helping out. The truth is like unto a father who has caught his son reaching into a cookie jar. And his father slaps him on the hand and says, hey, you're going to ruin your appetite. And the kid gets upset. That is what, like, the truth is like. It's like catching your son with his hand in the cookie jar and slapping him on the hand, telling him to not ruin his appetite. That's what it's like, because when I say these things, I mean, it gets absolutely out there, and people respond in negative ways, and I understand your pain, man. I understand that this stuff is not easy to swallow, but whether you're on my level, whether you see it my way, or whether you see it I mean, it's not even my way, to be honest with you. It's not. The truth is not my way. I just see it how it is. But if you could see the news for what it is and not get it from a leftist filtered media that is biased toward getting rid of the guns, toward calling white people the devil and defending black people for everything they do, I mean, it's just it's been thrown upside down. And see, in the culture, in the trendy culture, it's the absolute opposite. They think that the white man's the devil and the cops are your enemies. And I mean, there's so much racial division. The programming is so thick. I don't blame you for getting mad at me. It's okay. It's okay. You know, if you need a pat on the back, I mean, I'm here for you, man. But, you know, like, there has to be something done about this, you guys. I mean, you can't just ignore this forever. And it's going to come in a town near you if you don't do something about it. So, whether you want, you know, communism or you want your republic back, either way, I think that the republic is going to win. There's too many of us that are empowered and know the truth and want to, and if you notice the gun sales, I mean, trust me, we might get mocked, we might get beat in the street, we might get ridiculed, called racists, but in the end, we will win. So don't worry about it, guys.